The following contest is a three-way elimination match to crown the first ever PCW champion.
All right, this is what we've been waiting for not just the entire afternoon and evening, but really since the inception of PCW a year and a half ago at the old West Park Party Center, because, well, this is not something I've been waiting for. Gory defeated Rex Brody, defeated Sonny Vice. The match barely got started with Brody. Vice came in hurt, and then Gory tried to take out the rest of his competition and just force us to hand him the championship. He's going to fight and earn it tonight. And if he wins this matchup, great. I'll be the first guy to shake his hand. But Gory's going to have to do it the right way, because there's no culmination in the building. If they come back in, it's the last we'll see of the culmination in this company.
Well, it's going to be Gory doing it on his own, and this definitely isn't the incarnation that we thought we would see for our PCW championship, but I think the fans got a treat, and I'll commend you, Joe. Excellent decision.
To me, it's the only decision that could have been made, and I'm just happy that Kincaid and Palace were healthy enough to follow through with this matchup. They were being carried out as I was addressing the situation, but Kincaid is back after a heck of an effort against Chris LaRusso in the first round, and of course the interruption in the second round. I'm still disappointed personally, not just as the director of wrestling operations and the announcer, but as a fan. I'm disappointed that we didn't get to see Jason Kincaid and Andrew Palace to a finish.
Well, obviously Gory in the culmination had other thoughts in mind, but I don't want to say that there's an advantage in this, but we saw what happened to Kincaid. We saw what happened to Palace. You'd have to think the freshest man out of all is Gory. I don't want to say he got an easy route to the finals, but essentially he got an easy route to the finals.
Andrew Palace, the third man, overcame Gannon Jones Jr. in the quarterfinal round, and again, part of that interruption in the semifinals, favoring his ribs heavily. Again, the 4-on-2 beatdown did its damage to both Kincaid and Palace again, not running around the ring now. It's more of a brisk walk, but it's a determined walk. It's a focused walk. It's a walk of a man who's got something to prove and some revenge to dish out.
Well, I don't envy Gory in this at all. He's got two men that are fighting for the top prize in PCW and have personal animosity towards him.
Introducing the participants. First, from Oak Hill, West Virginia, weighing in at 179 pounds, the Gift, Jason Kincaid. Introducing next, from Ogden Marsh, Iowa, weighing in at 174 pounds, the New Age Plague, Gory. And finally, from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, weighing in at 202 pounds, Andrew Palace.
The prize held by Jake Clemens, as Kincaid getting a good look at it, and
Jake Clemens will not leave with the PCW championship tonight, I will say.
he will not.
Well, I don't know.
That's a safe prediction.
He may steal it. Have you seen what he does?
Gory's gotten too close to that championship as it is, by the way. I don't think. And there you see Premier Championship Wrestling continuing a long tradition in Turner's Hall that goes back a couple of decades of professional wrestling here. Everybody from CM Punk to AJ Styles to Dean Ambrose, Cesaro, Daniel Bryan have competed in this building. And it's great to add a series of new chapters to that legacy with PCW culminating in this championship tournament final. And notice, BC Steel, as soon as the bell rang and Kincaid and Palace made eyes with Gory, Gory was quick to get out of the ring. And now Kincaid playing his own mind games.
And we got all three men trying to feel each other out right now. We saw a little bit from Palace and Kincaid. We know Gory and Kincaid have done battles. All these men have done battles with one another, but this is for a prize altogether different than they have in the past.
Kincaid has always been a bit more passive and a bit more internal and tough to read. And I think Kincaid is trying to regroup his thoughts here, because Kincaid, you got to believe he's feeling a lot of rage and animosity towards Gory after what happened earlier. And that's not in Kincaid's normal nature. Maybe Kincaid's got an internal struggle to figure out, as Palace is just taking it to Gory in the early going. And again, Gory thought that he would have been handed the title about 45 minutes ago without doing much of any work. But now he finds himself in this situation. And keep in mind, as Kincaid takes over on Gory, when the culmination formed, who was their victim? It was Jason Kincaid, the Lumberjack match in Revengeance. The Cogers debuted. Remy LeVay betrayed Kincaid, and it was a 4-on-1 beatdown as Kincaid was sacrificed to the sick demonic altar of the culmination. And Kincaid, all these months later, has still not been able to defeat Jason Gory.
That's true, and with Andrew Palace, we saw the finality in some sense with him and Remy, but who's the man that orchestrated that violent shift in personality from Remy? Gory.
Yeah.
So obviously both of these men have gone through the ringer either directly or indirectly at the hands of Gory.
All Gory into the ring announcer and the timers table. There's been enough activity out there this entire evening. Lendo's got to stay safe out there.
But I'd be more than willing to jump in if need be. But let me put you on the spot, Joe.
Oh, wait a second. Gory get put into the rail.
You said you'd be the first man to shake Gory's hand if he wins. Are you comfortable with that man being the champion?
No, I'm not. But this isn't about me. It's about who's the most deserving of the championship. It's about who is going to represent PCW as the best wrestler in the fold. And I've gone on record to say, I said it in the ring last month, in my opinion, pound for pound, Gory is the best wrestler in a several hundred-mile radius of this building. But the problem is, when you factor in the culmination, when you factor in the mist, when you factor in Gory's sick intentions of naming rather than winning, and you put all this personal animosity in the mix, all bets are off. If Gory was just concerned, and Kincaid with that somersault stutter, Kincaid could eliminate Palace early here to no. Gory focused on being a competitor. He could be the PCW champion. He might still be the PCW champion. He'd be champion everywhere he goes, but Gory's objective is not mainly championships and wins and losses. Gory's objective is to hurt people.
And speaking of hurting people, we see Kincaid not only pulling down the straps, he's stepping on the fingers of Andrew Palace. Maybe we see that because of what's on the line, because of what he's gone through tonight, maybe we see a little bit different side from Kincaid. Maybe that centered chi that I talked about earlier becomes a little bit altered.
Kincaid is certainly being a bit more the aggressor at this point in time. And again, these two men stood side by side, fought the culmination more than once, and Palace with the elbow.
And as centered as Kincaid is and as respected, the respect that these two have for one another, you'd have to think it's going to break down at one point. It's going to be for the championship, so it's going to have to be who's willing to take that extra step.
Oh, without a doubt. Notice Palace showing the effects of having those fingers stepped on a moment ago as Kincaid rolled Palace through, and Palace maybe his hand, his fingers, maybe the elbow as well. I'm not sure if it dinged off the canvas or maybe the rope or the turnbuckle, but Palace is hurt.
Well, and again, I think personally that just plays more and more into the advantage of Gory. One guy's got an injury. Both of these guys have had matches tonight, and Gory's kind of skated free, and we just saw him on the outside for an extended period of time.
And keep in mind, it will take 2 falls to win this thing. Elimination rules as Gory on the back of Palace, biting away.
It's also a lot of hair to bite through, Joe Dombrowski.
That sick animalistic mentality of Gory. So tough to prepare for. In every sense of the word is Kincaid. Series of uppercuts to Gory as Gory's rocked at this point. Heel kick. Oh, that could have been devastating for Gory, but Gory put the brakes on. Came back with a leg.
I'll tell you, Kincaid threw everything he had into that, and luckily for Gory, smart move by Gory to hold on to that top rope. Now, it has, obviously, we've covered everything that happened before. The culmination is gone. They've gone out the front door. Oh, jeez. Taking it to them. But do those mind games play into the mind, even though if you know they're gone? There has to be some kind of mind games going on with Palace and Kincaid, just in the back of their mind of what Gory's capable of.
Gory with a springboard drop kick into the cover quickly. Kincaid eliminated? No.
And Gory getting frustrated, and that's not something that he can do if you're out there with Palace and Kincaid.
Hey, Gory was frustrated when I made the match. But in my opinion, Gory made his bed. He's got to lie in it now. He created these circumstances. If Gory would have left well enough alone, Palace or Kincaid, one or the other would have won, and we'd have a one-on-one final. But this is Gory's fault, and he's going to have to deal with it.
Well, I will say perhaps the plan of Gory. Now, I'm just saying this is independent. I'm not trying to anger him. I'm not trying to insult him or the combination, but maybe his plan should have been a little bit better thought out. And again, as much as it hurts me to compliment you, it hurts me greatly. I feel like my soul's going to explode. I got to give you credit. This was actually, I think it was really the only move you could make.
And Gory trying to make a move through Kincaid, and Gory smacking himself, just shades of a Koger, really. These guys are all sick. Kincaid gets the upper hand.
I don't think anybody in the combination is going to go to a nice Sunday dinner with the family.
Jawbreaker connects, and Kincaid is down near fall.
And conspicuous by his absence, Palace obviously still on the outside recovering. And I got to wonder, we saw him shaking the elbow, the hand, the fingers. If that right arm's numb, that's going to not only make it hard for the hernia driver, but it's also going to make it hard for him to continue, especially if Gory or Kincaid notice that weakness.
Notice Gory with a kick to Palace, who was on the outside, but Palace could not be deterred as the shotgun drop kick sends both Gory and Kincaid vaulting into the corner.
That's a smart move. Up until now, it's mainly been one-on-one in the ring and a man taking the rest on the outside.
And Kincaid down across the knee of Palace. Into the cover, hook of the leg, could we have him? And I think that was instinct by Gory more than anything to interrupt that fall, unless Gory wants the glory of eliminating both men on his own.
Well, that certainly wouldn't surprise me knowing from what we've seen from Gory in the past, but I'll agree with you.
And Kincaid gets involved, and these guys got to realize this is an elimination matchup. This is not a one-fall matchup like most triple-threat matches are in this day and age. You do not need to save yourself by interrupting the fall.
Well, not only instinctively, you see someone getting pinned, and your first thought is to break it up, because you're used to either pinning or being pinned as a professional wrestler. But I kind of do wonder if it's something a little bit more with them, with Gory. With Gory being here, almost wanting to teach a lesson to not let him get off that easily. But this is for the PCW Championship. Pride needs to be put aside for a second.
Log blower and a senton combination. Gory gets two for the price of one, and Palace nearly pinned. Smart move by Gory. Immediately goes to Kincaid, but can't put him away.
And that frustration of Gory may set in the longer this goes. Uh-oh.
And Gory, well, now what? Come on.
Lendo better run. Lendo and the people in the front row on that side better just take off.
Leave the championship alone, please. Gory with the title. Come on, official, do something here.
Well, he's got to exercise his authority here. Gory's just completely ignoring him.
Gory taking advantage of the relaxed rules in most three-way matches, and Gory tried to use the championship as an offensive weapon, and the official trying to dispose of it. And what is Gory doing? Oh, Gory signaling for the end. Is this... They missed! Oh, wait a second! Palace got the goggles up! Palace got the goggles on the way! The mist had no effect! Oh, those things did pay off! Kincaid with a driver! Palace the assist! And Gory's the first one eliminated in the final round!
Wow.
Gory has been eliminated.
The man that we thought under an hour ago would force himself to be christened champion is now the first one eliminated.
And Joe, he was the favorite going into this. He was the freshest of all three, certainly.
Kincaid finally gets his pinfall victory, finally gets his retribution on Gory, and now shades of what the culmination did to Palace and Kincaid earlier tonight. Gory is getting a taste of his own medicine. And you know what? See you later, pal. Gory to the floor, and now, BC Steel, we're back where we started before Gory took over this entire show. We're back with the matchup that I, as a fan, wanted to see. That was such an evenly matched contest. Palace and Kincaid, you got to admit, you wanted to see what was going to come next between these two.
Well, you know that what was it, 2-3 minutes before Gory and the Culmination had taken out that semifinal match. It was really, I would say, even.
Wait a minute, hernia driver off the bat. Palace is going to beat Kincaid 2-0. And Palace is shocked. I don't know that anybody's kicked out of the hernia driver in all of PCW and all of wrestling. But Kincaid has done it.
And I don't think there's a man in this build, man, woman, child, or otherwise, that didn't think that that was it. Kincaid might have been the only one. I mean, Palace doesn't know what to do next. I mean, he's finished off everybody, including, we saw earlier, Gannon Jones Jr. with that, and well, Palace going high risk. I guess when you're out of options, you just go to the top.
Palace gonna soar, but Kincaid able to trip up Palace. And to your point earlier about a bit more of an aggressive streak by Jason Kincaid, realizing what's on the line, I think Kincaid is. I love you like a brother, but I hate your ugly face.
Well, Joe, what did I tell you earlier?
And look at Palace fighting back. Oh, this is getting personal. Slapping and spitting.
Well, Joe, I told you it's going to break down. I love this. You talk about mutual respect all you want. This is what I want to see.
This is what the title means. Well, that is sick. Kincaid just daring Palace to spit in his mouth. Palace does it. And now Kincaid, from way up high, superplex for the ages coming up. Can he hit it? Good grief. And Kincaid is the new PCW champion now. Palace escapes.
Joe, as I predicted, it's personal and it's gonna get a lot worse. And Kincaid looks flustered. He looks angered. And I don't know if we've ever seen Kincaid this out of sorts before. You just saw him kind of stare off into the distance.
That shows what this championship means to Jason Kincaid, though. The fact that he can really escape that usual inner peace that he experiences, and he's putting it all on the line, putting it all out there as Palace with a cradle, Palace cradles, no. And Kincaid able to drive down Palace. We saw this done to Gory. It eliminated Gory. Will Palace be out too? No.
And Joe, there it is. Now he's definitely flustered. I don't think ever seen Kincaid get in a referee's face before here in PCW, or very few times in his career. But I don't know what Palace has left. You know, we saw what he went through with Remy. We're sure he's still feeling the effects from that. We saw what happened tonight with him in the Culmination. And now Kincaid going up top, and he is very, very dangerous up there.
Kincaid, oh God, crazy elevation. But he came down and tweaked his knee, it looked like. And Palace, second hernia driver. Wait a second. No.
Well, Joey didn't. He never let go.
The following contest is a three-way elimination match to crown the first ever PCW champion.
All right, this is what we've been waiting for not just the entire afternoon and evening, but really since the inception of PCW a year and a half ago at the old West Park Party Center, because, well, this is not something I've been waiting for. Gory defeated Rex Brody, defeated Sonny Vice. The match barely got started with Brody. Vice came in hurt, and then Gory tried to take out the rest of his competition and just force us to hand him the championship. He's going to fight and earn it tonight. And if he wins this matchup, great. I'll be the first guy to shake his hand. But Gory's going to have to do it the right way, because there's no Culmination in the building. If they come back in, it's the last we'll see of the Culmination in this company.
Well, it's going to be Gory doing it on his own, and this definitely isn't the incarnation that we thought we would see for our PCW championship. But I think the fans got a treat, and I'll commend you, Joe. Excellent decision.
To me, it's the only decision that could have been made, and I'm just happy that Kincaid and Palace were healthy enough to follow through with this matchup. They were being carried out as I was addressing the situation, but Kincaid is back after a heck of an effort against Chris LaRusso in the first round, and of course the interruption in the second round. I'm still disappointed personally, not just as the director of wrestling operations and the announcer, but as a fan. I'm disappointed that we didn't get to see Jason Kincaid and Andrew Palace to a finish.
Well, obviously Gory didn't. Gory and the Culmination had other thoughts in mind, but you know, I don't want to say that there's an advantage in this, but We saw what happened to Kincaid. We saw what happened to Palace. You'd have to think the freshest man out of all is Gory. I don't want to say he got an easy route to the finals, but essentially he got an easy route to the finals.
Andrew Palace, the third man, overcame Gannon Jones Jr. in the quarterfinal round, and again, part of that interruption in the semifinals, favoring his ribs heavily. Again, the 4-on-2 beatdown did its damage to both Kincaid and Palace again, not running around the ring now. It's more of a brisk walk, but it's a determined walk. It's a focused walk. It's a walk of a man who's got something to prove and some revenge to dish out.
Well, I don't envy Gory in this at all. He's got two men that are fighting for the top prize in PCW and have personal animosity towards him.
Introducing the participants. First, from Oak Hill, West Virginia, weighing in at 179 pounds, the Gift, Jason Kincaid. Introducing next, from Ogden Marsh, Iowa, weighing in at 174 pounds, the New Age Play, Gory. And finally, from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, weighing in at 202 pounds. The following contest is a three-way elimination match to crown the first ever PCW champion.
All right, this is what we've been waiting for not just the entire afternoon and evening, but really since the inception of PCW a year and a half ago at the old West Park Party Center, because, well, this is not something I've been waiting for. Gory defeated Rex Brody, defeated Sonny Vice. The match barely got started with Brody. Vice came in hurt, and then Gory tried to take out the rest of his competition and just force us to hand him the championship. He's going to fight and earn it tonight. And if he wins this matchup, great. I'll be the first guy to shake his hand. But Gory's going to have to do it the right way, because there's no culmination in the building. If they come back in, it's the last we'll see of the culmination in this company.
Well, it's going to be Gory doing it on his own, and this definitely isn't the incarnation that we thought we would see for our PCW championship, but I think the fans got a treat, and I'll commend you, Joe. Excellent decision.
To me, it's the only decision that could have been made, and I'm just happy that Kincaid and Palace were healthy enough to follow through with this matchup. They were being carried out as I was addressing the situation, but Kincaid is back after a heck of an effort against Chris LaRusso in the first round, and of course the interruption in the second round. I'm still disappointed personally, not just as the director of wrestling operations and the announcer, but as a fan. I'm disappointed that we didn't get to see Jason Kincaid and Andrew Palace to a finish.
Well, obviously,